Welcome to EVS class. Dear students, today we are going to learn about nitrogen cycle. Okay. As you already know, nitrogen is the chief content of our atmosphere, is the chief reservoir of nitrogen. So nitrogen is also the vital component of many essential organic compounds of the organism, like proteins, nucleic acids, and some vitamins. What happens?
मैम कुछ बच्चे ज्वाइन होने बोल रहे हैं.
Okay. Okay, welcome you once again. Reduce the volume of your mobile. So, nitrogen is a vital component of many essential organic compounds of the organism. As like in the case of phosphorus. Phosphorus is also the component of living cells, all the animal cells and plant cells. So, and different compounds. What are these compounds? Like proteins, amino acids, and some vitamins. So, nitrogen, like phosphorus is also the component, and nitrogen is also the component of these proteins, nucleic acid, and vitamins. So, it constitutes nearly 16% of all of the proteins by weight. So, this is the fact. We already know this is the component of proteins. So apart from the nitrogen, there are also certain biologically important compounds such as urea and alkylose. So these are also the examples of the nitrogen. But our main focus is to study the nitrogen cycling, how the nitrogen is cycled and recycled in the atmosphere to make the balance in the environment. So this is our purpose. So that's why we are studying this, because our environment and ecosystem, each ecosystem is run by this biogeochemical cycle. That is why we are studying the nitrogen cycle as a part of the biogeochemical cycle, because biogeochemical cycle play an important role in our environment and in our ecosystem also. Ecosystem is running by the biogeochemical cycle, and nitrogen cycle is the one of the cycle. Okay. So, as we know that this makes the maximum part of the atmosphere, and nitrogen is the inert gas. So, there are some biological process in which the nitrogen is cycled and recycled. So, now we are going to learn about these. What are these processes? So, in this figure, you can see how the nitrogen is recycled. These are the organisms, like the plant. You can see plant take up the nitrogen from the soil also. So how they take up the nitrogen? They alone cannot take up the nitrogen from the soil. Some bacteria, there are some bacteria and microflora that helps in the utilization of the nitrogen, how the plant can utilize the nitrogen from the soil. So there are some bacteria. We are going to study what are these process. Nitrogen fixation, nitrogen assimilation, ammonification, nitrification. So these are some processes by which the nitrogen is available in the different forms. Okay. So in the figure you can see there is a precipitation, like during the rainfall or thunderstorms. It is present in the form of nitric acid. Okay. So during the thunderstorm, there is lightning. You may have seen in the atmosphere. During the rainfall, there is a thunderstorm, or when the rainfall stops, there is in that kind of season, you may have seen that. So from the plant take up the nitrogen from the organic matter. So there are some bacteria that is present in the soil that helps the plant to take up the nitrogen from the soil. So plant take up the nitrogen in the form of nitrates. How the nitrate is produced? Because nitrogen is present in the different forms in the soil. Okay. how the nitrate is produced? There are so many processes like ammonium, ammonification and nitrification. Okay. So there are the different processes like organic matter. Nitrogen is the main component of organic matter, and after the decomposition of the organic matter, nitrogen is available to the in the soil. Okay. So there is a formation of ammonium ion in the soil. Then this ammonium ion is again changed into nitrites. Okay. Then this nitrite is again converted into nitrates. Okay. So this is the process. From the organic matter, first of all ammonium ion is produced, then nitrite is produced, then this nitrite is converted into nitrates. So this process is carried out by bacteria and microflora. So there are some different bacteria that help in this process. Then again, after the denitrification, what happens after denitrification? This nitrogen is available to the atmosphere. It is released in the atmosphere. So that nitrogen cannot be absorbed by the plants. This nitrogen is the inert gas. It cannot be utilized by the animals or any plants. Okay. So it is available in the nitrate forms there, so that the plant can utilize the nitrates. But after denitrification, nitrogen becomes the parts of atmospheric nitrogen. So here you can see it is a part of atmospheric nitrogen, from where it goes, from here atmospheric nitrogen where it goes. So during the thunderstorm there is a lightning process, so in that it can fall again on the earth during the acid rain also. So this is nitric acid in the other form, when it is mixed up with the water, when the nitrogen is mixed up with the water, it again forms the nitric acid or nitrified. So there can be the acid rainfall on the earth also. In that way it also becomes the part of ocean, okay, wherever it goes. So this is the process. Precipitation is a rainfall. Water after vaporization, it goes in the atmosphere. When it will come again? After condensation. There is a condensation process. After the condensation, there is a rainfall, precipitation. Okay. Because water has become vaporized after the vaporization. So after that, there will be the condensation. After condensation, there will be the formation of water. So water will come down on the earth during the rainfall. So rainfall is called the precipitation. In the science we call that, in the scientific language we call the rainfall as precipitation. Okay. So this is the whole process. In this figure you are able to see how the nitrogen change the different forms. So these are in the form of iron. So it is done by on the earth we have the organic matter, like dead organism, dead plant leaves. So that is after the decomposition of the organic matter and mineralization process, there is the formation of ammonium ion. Okay. And there is the other process also, the nitrogen is fixed in the other forms. Then there is the formation of nitrite ion. These nitrite ions again converted into nitrate by some bacteria. This process is called nitrification, and this is done by the bacteria. And there is another process that is called leaching. Okay. So bacteria and microflora are involved here. So this nitrate form is available to the plants. Just remember, nitrate form, this is the soluble form. This is the soluble form of nitrogen which is available to the plants. Okay. So here you can see nitrogen in the atmosphere and 78%. You know nitrogen is the inert gas and cannot be used by the plants or animals. Nitrogen can be converted into the usable form. What are these processes? Lightning, nitrogen fixation, that is done by the plant, and cyanobacteria, that is blue-green algae, and during some industrial process. But we are not going to discuss about the industrial process here. Okay. So in this cycle, yes,
मैम
yes.
बच्ची मैम ज्वाइन करने की मैम कोशिश करिए, बहुत देर से मैम वर्तिका शुक्ला मैम ज्वाइन कर लीजिए.
Okay. Okay. So here in the nitrogen cycle you can see the different processes are shown in the cycle: nitrogen fixation, denitrification, nitrification, ammonification, and assimilation. Okay. Protein are the important component of the organic matter. As you have seen in the above figure, there is a organic matter. Here you have seen organic matter. What is produced from there? Ammonium ion. Then there is a formation of nitrite ion. Then nitrate ion is produced by the bacteria. Now we are going to discuss about this in the detail. What happens? So there are how the different processes are connected with each other in this figure. Sorry. So in this figure you can see are you able to see this now? So in this figure you can see because protein is the main component of the organic matter. So organic matter is shown here. Then it is after the ammonification, ammonium ion is it is converted into ammonium ions. Okay. So protein is our body structure, animal body structure, that also is made up of proteins. So after the ammonification, ammonium ion is available. That nitrogen fixation is need to be done by the bacteria. There are some bacteria that are called cyanobacteria. There are some names will be given, like rhizobium and Ammonium. These are the names of some bacteria and blue-green algae that is involved in the nitrogen fixation. Azotobacter is also the name of the bacteria which is involved in this. There is some blue-green algae that is called the name of that Anabaena, spirulina. These are the examples. And there is one important bacteria, that is famous bacteria, that is known as rhizobium. Rhizobium bacteria is called nitrogen fixation bacteria. So rhizobium play an important role in the nitrogen fixation. This bacteria is found in the root nodules of the leguminous plant. Root nodules of leguminous plant, like pulses. Leguminous plant means that produce the pulses. Okay, so it lives in the root nodules of the leguminous plant. Okay, means root nodules of the higher plants also. So there are some bacteria. So rhizobium is one of them. Nitrogen fixation by the bacteria is the slow process. It is a slow process, but this is the important process, and this is it plays a significant role in the recycling of nitrogen. So demand of the nitrogen is fulfilled by this process, because nitrogen containing when the soil lacks the nitrogen, so we fulfill this need by the use of fertilizer. We use the chemical fertilizers. Because the nitrogen is not available in the soil, the proper amount that is required by the plant, the demand is not fulfilled properly. Okay, so somewhere we are responsible for that interruption, because in the nature the process is going on, all the process is going on, but sometimes there is some intervention activities that is caused by the human. So due to those activities, that nitrogen is not it's not become available to the soil is not replenished by the nitrogen compounds. So it may happen because bacteria play an important role, microflora play an important role, but sometimes we neglect, means all the time we neglect the presence of those living organisms, because we cannot see them by our naked eyes, but bacteria and microflora play an important role in this process. So how this happens? Because we use the harmful chemicals in all the process. We use the harmful chemicals that destroy our microflora and bacteria. So that is not visible to us. Okay, but you can see, you can visualize the effect of this. How it happens? Because your soil, the soil which you are using in the agriculture, that is not replenished by the nitrogen or essential component that should be there, nutrients should be there. Okay, so that's what happened in the nitrogen fixation. There are some other process also, that is called nitrogen assimilation. Nitrogen assimilation. What happened in the nitrogen assimilation? There is a conversion of soluble nitrates into organic compounds. Means plants are able to use the nitrogen in the form of nitrates. So that is called, if plants are able to use the nitrogen in the form of, that is soluble form, nitrates. So that is called nitrogen assimilation, because plants are synthesizing organic compound. So organic compound is synthesized using soluble nitrates. So nitrates means nitrates has been utilized to synthesize organic compound. So that process is called nitrogen assimilation. Okay. So now you can see the nitrate is the soluble form of nitrogen, and that process is called nitrogen assimilation. Nitrogen assimilation. What is the next process? Then conversion of compound into ammonical compound, that is called ammonification. So from the organic matter there is the formation of ammonium ion. So this process is called ammonification, we have discussed just now. Then there is another process that is called nitrification. Nitrification, conversion of ammonia into nitrites. Okay, conversion of ammonia into nitrite, then to nitrates. So nitrate is the soluble form, and how we get the nitrates, how it happens, how it takes place in the what are the process? So first of all, after the ammonification, there is the conversion of there is the availability of the ammonium ion in the soil, then nitrites are formed. After that, there is the conversion of nitrites into nitrates. So that process is called nitrification. That process is called nitrification, in which nitrogen is becomes available to the plants, soluble form. You can see the solubilized nitrogen is available to the plants. After that, there can be the nitrogen assimilation only. So that process is called nitrification, formation of nitrates. Okay. In the above figure, you can see, you have seen that. From the organic matter, ammonium ion is produced, then there is the formation of nitrites, then from the nitrates are produced. So that process is called nitrification process. Okay. So this process, how from the ammonium ion the nitrites are produced, this is also done by some bacteria, and again there is a leaching and nitrification through the bacteria. So in all the steps, bacteria are involved here. Okay. So this process is called nitrification. Is it clear to you? What is nitrification? Formation of soluble form of nitrogen, that is nitrate. That is a form of nitrate. Which one is the soluble form of nitrogen? Nitrates. So nitrates can be utilized by the plant in the formation of organic matter, and that process is called nitrogen assimilation. Nitrogen assimilation. Okay, so that is clear to you. After that, there is the denitrification. What happens then? Denitrification. What happens in the denitrification? Conversion of nitrates into atmospheric nitrogen. That is the free form, nitrogen. So nitrogen is the inert gas. It becomes a part of atmospheric air. I mean, air is the component. So air, in the air we have nitrogen. After denitrification it happens. So it becomes the part of atmospheric nitrogen. From the atmosphere, what can happen? That Means during the rainfall, the water and during the vaporization, water can be mixed. Okay. During the different process, what happens in the atmosphere? During the high temperature also, water vapor can be mixed with the nitrogens. So there may be the formation of nitrate ions or nitric acid also. So there may be the acid rainfall. Okay. So these are the different processes by which the nitrogen get recycled in the atmosphere. So during the thunderstorm, some of the oxygen and nitrogen present in the atmosphere that is subjected to high pressure and high temperature. In the presence of high temperature, when the conditions are suitable, means suitable for the thunderstorm, or in that condition there is a high temperature and there may be the high pressure. So it produces lightning and form the oxides of nitrogen. So you call that the lightning during the thunderstorm. So oxide of nitrogen dissolved in the rainwater. So that is dissolved in the rainwater and form the nitrous and nitric acid. Which again reach at the soil. So in that way it again become the part of the soil. So they are converted into nitrates which are then taken up by the plant. So that is the recycling. Now you know how again the nitrogen come down to the earth in the form of nitrate. So in the form of nitrate it becomes available to the plant, because after that there is the nitrogen assimilation process. Plant can take up the nitrogen in the form of soluble nitrates. So how this happens? After the denitrification, it happens that atmospheric nitrogen during the thunderstorm, it is mixed up with the oxygen during the high temperature and high pressure. Okay, then there is the lightning and they form the oxide. There is the formation of oxides of nitrogen. These oxides of nitrogen then dissolved in the rainwater. Then there is the formation of nitrous and nitric acids. Finally it reaches at soil. So it becomes the part of soil. From the soil, plant again take up the nitrate ions. Okay, and then plant use these nitrate ions to form the organic compounds. Which one is the organic compound? I have already told you, proteins are the organic compound. Okay, DNA, proteins and different chemicals, different compounds that is found in our body. Our body structure is made up of those compounds. So that are the essential components of all living organism. Okay, because plant need the nitrate ions, they convert them into the amino acids to manufacture the proteins. Because proteins, how the proteins are made up? These are the amino acids are the component of proteins. So protein is made up by the amino acid. There is a combination of amino acid. Amino acids are utilized. In the protein sequence, amino acids are found. So first of all, there is the formation of amino acid, and using the different amino acids, there is the formation of proteins. So amino acids are the units of the proteins. Because animals feed on these plants, again from the soil, plant take up the nitrogen and they form the organic compounds like proteins. So proteins are present in the plants. So because consumers feed on the plants, consumers feed on the producers. So who are the consumers? Animals. Animals are the consumer. They feed on the animals. So in that way nitrogen passes from producer to consumers. From the plant, nitrogen passes from plants to consumers, to animals. So this is how the recycling is done. Animal waste also and dead organic matter of the plants and animals are broken down. Don't make a noise. Okay. Animal waste and dead organic matters, remains of the plants and animals are broken down by the certain bacteria and fungi. So that is called decomposition process. Then there is the formation of ammonium compounds. So in the soil, the bacteria, I have already told you about this. There are some bacteria that cause the ammonification of the nitrogen containing matters, nitrifying bacteria, and again there is a nitrification process. In that figure you can see, sorry. Here you can see these are the different processes: nitrogen fixation, denitrification, nitrification. Okay. So conversion of the nitrites into the nitrate, that is called nitrification process. Nitrification. So in that the nitrifying bacteria are used. So Nitrosomonas is the name of the bacteria that convert ammonium ion to nitrites. So that is the name of bacteria, Nitrosomonas, that converts ammonia, okay, ammonia to nitrites. So that is the name of bacteria, Nitrosomonas. Again the nitrite is converted into nitrates. So that is done by one another bacteria. What is the name of that bacteria? Nitrobacter. So Nitrobacter again convert nitrites to nitrates. So remember the name of these two bacteria, nitrifying bacteria such as Nitrosomonas. Nitrosomonas convert ammonium ion to nitrites. Okay. Again there is the formation of nitrates from nitrites. So that is done by the Nitrobacter. Nitrobacter is the name of bacteria that convert nitrites to nitrates. Okay. And there are some other bacteria also that is also involved in the denitrification process. So that whole process is done by the bacteria. There are the bacteria that is called Pseudomonas. In the denitrification process, what is denitrification? Just tell me, what is denitrification? What is denitrification? Conversion of nitrogen, free nitrogen, okay, from the nitrates, or okay, that is called denitrification. So that means it will become the part of atmospheric nitrogen. So formation of atmospheric nitrogen, that is called denitrification. So how it happens? So it happens, nitrate ion will be converted into nitrogen. How it will be carried out? That is done by one bacteria, that is called Pseudomonas. So this step is done by denitrification is done by one bacteria. What is the name of bacteria? Pseudomonas, which convert nitrate to nitrogen gas. Pseudomonas convert nitrate to nitrogen gas. That process is called denitrification. So that's what happened in the above figure also we have seen. So these are all processes that are connected with each other: nitrification, denitrification, nitrification and assimilation. Now you know clearly what are these processes. We have discussed about all the different processes: what is nitrogen fixation, what is denitrification, what is nitrification process, what is nitrogen assimilation, and how these processes are connected with each other for the recycling of nitrogen. So if this cycle is regulated at the normal level, nitrogen will be available to the plants and all the process will go naturally. But there are some intervention. Sometimes the soil is not replenished by the nitrogen. So there is a lack of the nitrogen in the soil, and to fulfill this demand, the farmers use chemical fertilizer to replenish the soil. So we need to observe our activity, how we are destroying our soil. So we need to work for that so that we can solve the problem and we can maintain the balanced cycle of the nitrogen. So in this figure, this is a summarized figure. You can see here. From the organic matter, there is the production of ammonium ion. That process is called ammonification. After ammonification, there is the formation of nitrites. Okay, formation of nitrites. Then there is the formation of nitrates. So that process is called nitrification. During the nitrification process, nitrogen is converted into soluble form that can be available to the plant, and plant can take up the nitrate in the soluble form, and they can use the nitrates to form the organic compound and to synthesize the organic compound. So that process is called nitrogen assimilation. When the plant there is the synthesis of organic compound. Okay. So that process is called nitrogen assimilation. Okay. And again there can be the production of the atmospheric nitrogen. So synthesis of atmospheric nitrogen from the soluble nitrate, that is called denitrification process. So that is also done by the bacteria, that is called Pseudomonas. Okay, and nitrification process, there are some bacteria that is involved there, Nitrobacter, Nitrosomonas. Nitrosomonas convert the ammonium ion into the nitrite ions. Then these nitrite ion again converted into the nitrate ion is using one bacteria, that is called nitrobacteria. Although there are many more bacteria that also play an important role. Okay, so that process is called the nitrogen fixation. There is the fixation of atmospheric nitrogen in the form of nitrates. Okay, so there are some other bacteria also. I have already told you about this. What are the nitrogen fixation bacteria? Again recalling you so that you can recall you. There is a free living soil bacteria that is called Azotobacter is the name of the bacteria, and there are some blue green algae that is called Anabaena and Spirulina, and there are some other bacteria that is called Rhizobium. Rhizobium lives in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Okay, but due to some intervention in the nitrogen cycle, our soil is not replenished by the nitrogen. That's why we use the chemical fertilizer to fulfill the need of our soil, to replenish the soil. Nitrogen containing fertilizer. Which one is the nitrogen containing fertilizer? Urea. Urea is the okay. But if we take care of our environment and our soil, we can maintain. So we should we should take care of this process. We should allow this process to going on naturally. Okay, we should not use the harmful chemical in the soil and for the cleaning procedure also, because that is very harmful for the microflora and bacteria. Now you know how the bacteria play an important role in the biogeochemical cycle. So bacteria also play an important role in the phosphorus cycle also. Okay, in the weathering or in all the generally what happens in the phosphorus cycles also, phosphorus is generally locked in the sedimentary rocks. So bacteria play an important role in all the cycles. So their role is special in the nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle and sulfur cycle. Okay. So that was all about the nitrogen cycling. So how we can ensure the nitrogen recycling? We should take care of this process because nitrogen is recycled in the 5 steps in the process using the nitrogen fixation, nitrogen assimilation, ammonification, nitrification, denitrification. So in today's class we have discussed about this process and how the different bacteria are involved in this process. So there is this is the great role that is played by the bacteria in the recycling of the nitrogen. Okay, now class is over. If you have any question, you can ask. Do you have any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, just ask something. If you have any question, you can ask or you can share your experience. If somebody is familiar with the agriculture field, they can share their experience also.
मैम पल्सेस भी होते हैं ना जो मतलब नेचुरली वो करते हैं.
Yes, yes. So leguminous plant, I call them in the lecture I have used the name leguminous plant because in the root nodules of the pulses tree, so there is the formation of nodules. If you see, just you observe the pulses plant, okay? So there will be the nodules in their roots. You can observe. So in the root nodules of the pulses, there is a bacteria, rhizobium is living there. Okay, did you observe that? There is some nodule-like structure. Nodule means node-like structure, node. In the form of node. So nodule form.
Yes,
You can
soil
observe.
के अंदर होता है.
You can take out the plant from the soil. Then you can observe there is a root nodules in the pulses. Okay, you just see the plants of the pulses. You can see observe in the root nodules. Then you will see. You just go to the agriculture
I have
field.
seen.
Okay, so in the root nodules, there bacteria is living there, rhizobium. So that is involved in the nitrogen fixation. So bacteria play an important role, but when we use the chemicals or sometimes, so there may be the restriction of the bacteria also, because they don't need the rich amount of the minerals. They need the proper amount, adequate quantity. So sometimes it is harmful. The use of chemical is harmful for the bacterial population, the microflora of the agriculture field of the soil. That we call that the rhizosphere. So that is very harmful. So we should take care of that. So we should always replenish our soil with the required nutrients in the natural way. We should try to do this. Okay, we should take care of the natural process. So our activity should be like that. We can work in that manner. Okay, any other? So what's your name? Who shared this experience? Who was discussing just now?
Me. Ma'am, it was me.
Okay, what's your name? Avnindra. What's your name?
Tiwari, roll number 212.
Roll number 212. What's your name?
Avnindra Tiwari.
Avnindra Tiwari. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good, Avnindra. Anybody from others? Anybody from the class who want to share their experience? Who has seen the root nodules of the pulses plants? What's your name? You have seen that? Puneet Mishra has also seen the root nodules. Okay. Avanindra and Puneet Mishra. So they have seen the root nodules. Okay. So what happens in the root nodules? There is a bacteria living there. So that's why there is a node-like structure. होता है ना कोई infection होता है तो क्या होता है? There is a change in the structure. So because bacteria is living there, so there is a formation of root nodules. Okay, any other experience? Okay, you can write down your attendance in the chat box. Now the class is over. You just write down your attendance in the chat box. Okay, most of the students have written the attendance.
Ma'am, can we leave?
You can leave. I am leaving in the within the 2 minutes. Just write down your attendance in the chat box so that nobody is left. I have to wait. If I will close the Google Meet, the attendance will be lost. Okay. So now the class is over.